What if I told you that thousands of seniors in their 60s and 70s who followed a simple 30-second and morning scalp routine experienced measurable reductions in hair shedding within just a few weeks, something many people assume is impossible after 60? In fact, a Japanese dermatology study revealed exactly this by demonstrating that gentle daily scalp stimulation improved microcirculation and significantly reduced hair shedding in adults over 60. And these results give hope, because hair thinning after 60 is not just physical. It chips away confidence as hormones change, circulation slows, and follicles receive less care than they once did. Many fear that once it starts, nothing can be done. But with the routine explained in this episode, it can be reversed. Welcome back to the Senior Health Podcast. Today, we are exploring why hair loss accelerates after 60 and how one simple 30-second and morning routine helps protect hair strength and confidence at home. And as always, Japan's oldest doctor is guiding us. Doctor, why is this such a meaningful conversation for seniors right now? It matters deeply, John, because many seniors are told that hair loss is simply part of aging, even when it feels unsettling. But in reality, it is often a signal of reduced circulation and tension in the scalp. So what I want to share is not about forcing the body to change, but about gently reminding it how to find balance again in a way that feels calm and realistic. I felt that immediately. Just before we started recording, I was reviewing research from the Cleveland Clinic showing that reduced scalp blood flow and chronic tension are closely linked to follicle miniaturization in older adults. And reading that, I kept thinking about how quietly this happens for seniors long before anyone connects the dots or talks about it openly. Yes, and that quiet progression is what makes it so powerful to address. Small daily signals can remind the body how to maintain itself even later in life. So before we begin, comment A1 if hair thinning is something you have noticed even slightly over the past few years, because many seniors feel alone in this, but you are not. I hear from so many seniors that the hair loss feels almost sneaky, like it starts quietly in the shower or on the pillow and then suddenly feels harder to ignore. That quiet pattern tells us a lot. After 60, the scalp does not suddenly fail. It slowly becomes less supported. Circulation eases off, tension settles in, and the signals that keep hair anchored grow weaker over time. What seniors notice all at once has usually been building for years. That makes it feel less frightening somehow. It turns hair loss from a shock into something that finally has an explanation. Yes. And understanding that difference changes how we respond. Many seniors think the answer is to push harder with stronger products or more brushing, but an aging scalp does not need force. It needs consistency and calm signals that say you are safe, you are supported. That framing feels kinder and honestly more realistic for seniors. And this is where things become very practical, because there is one common morning habit that seems harmless, yet quietly interrupts that support before the day even begins. That catches my attention right away. When you say a morning habit, what should seniors start noticing as soon as they wake up? Let me explain it gently. Many seniors wake up and rush straight into fixing their hair, brushing quickly, or pulling to make it look right. In that first fragile moment, the scalp is stiff, dry, and least prepared for tension. That small rush sends a message of stress instead of support. That feels uncomfortably familiar. It sounds like something seniors do automatically without realizing the impact. Yes, and I hear that a lot in seniors. Hair is weakest when it is dry and just waking up, and the scalp has not yet softened or received blood flow. When tension is applied too early, follicles that were already uncertain let go more easily. This is not dramatic damage. It is quiet encouragement to shed. That makes the timing feel just as important as the habit itself. Exactly. Seniors often believe they are helping by being thorough or efficient, but the scalp reads urgency as danger, especially later in life. Over time, that repeated signal changes how long hair chooses to stay. It is surprising how something so small can repeat itself every single morning. And that repetition is what matters most. This habit happens daily, often without thought. And that is why its negative effect is so powerful. The body listens closely to what we do first thing each day. Those first signals tend to set the tone for everything that follows. That really shifts how I think about mornings and hair care. And there is very clear data that supports this. John, a Japanese study from the Tokyo Metropolitan Institute of Gerontology, followed adults over 60 and found that daily repeated scalp tension, even mild tension applied each morning, was associated with a significantly higher rate of hair shedding over time. What stood out was that the strongest predictor was not how hard the scalp was stressed, but how often and when. Morning stress had a measurable impact because circulation and tissue flexibility are lowest at that time of day. That's striking because it means what feels like a harmless rushed habit in the morning can quietly shape the scalp's health for years without anyone ever realizing it. Correct. But it leads us to the hopeful part. Once seniors understand this, they can replace that stress signal with something far gentler. Short, calm routines can protect follicles better than force ever could. And that difference changes outcomes over time. That opens a door for a different approach. How do seniors begin shifting from urgency to something gentler without feeling like they are doing less? Well, let me explain it this way. Seniors often believe effort equals effectiveness. So, they assume more pressure or more time must mean better results, but the aging scalp responds differently than it did decades ago. Short, gentle routines work because they restore circulation and signaling without triggering stress responses. The key here is that calm consistency tells the follicles they are supported, not under attack. That reframes so much of what seniors have been taught. It sounds like doing less, but actually doing it more wisely. Yes. And that misunderstanding causes a lot of frustration. Aggressive treatments can increase inflammation and microenching in the scalp, which shortens the growth phase of hair. Gentle routines do the opposite by improving blood flow and relaxing the tissue that surrounds each follicle. Over time, that creates an environment where hair feels safe to stay. That idea of safety keeps coming up, and it feels emotionally true for seniors. Precisely. When seniors stop trying to force results and instead offer the body small, reassuring signals, it often responds in ways that feel surprisingly gentle and hopeful. And once that idea truly sinks in, what comes next is no longer overwhelming. The next step becomes simple, clear, and easy to put into practice. That makes me lean in. Everyone stay with us, please. Doctor, tell us, what does that gentle shift actually look like in real time each morning? Well, we start by slowing the moment down. When seniors wake up, before touching a brush or mirror, they simply place their fingertips gently on the scalp and take one calm breath. This tells the nervous system that there is no urgency, and it prepares the scalp to receive care rather than tension. That feels almost symbolic. It sounds less like hair care and more like setting the tone for the day. Yes, and that reminder matters. After that breath, the fingers make small, slow movements, just enough to wake the skin and encourage blood flow. 30 seconds is enough because the goal is not stimulation through force, but through presence and consistency. It is striking how brief that is, especially compared to what seniors are usually told to do. Can you explain to us what this movement exactly looks like so that seniors can try it themselves at home? Of course I can. We begin very simply. Seniors bring both hands to the sides of the head, resting them gently above the ears with the fingers relaxed and naturally spread. The hands are there to hold the scalp itself, not to rub the hair. From there, the touch becomes steady but light, just enough so the skin moves together with the hands. Now, slowly, you guide the scalp a small distance forward and then back, almost as if you are loosening a tight fabric. After a few breaths, those same movements can soften into small, unhurried circles. There is no rush. You are watching for warmth, softness, or a sense of ease to appear. That sounds doable for every age. We do this for 15 seconds. Correct. And then for the next 15 seconds, without changing the pace, one hand shifts toward the forehead just behind the hairline while the other rests near the back of the head. With the hands placed this way, the scalp is gently guided forward and backward between them, followed by a brief pause to breathe. Many seniors notice this reaches areas that have felt still or guarded for a long time. Ah, okay. In this way, we have covered the whole head. We did. And what matters most is restraint. If the scalp feels tight, the movement becomes smaller, not stronger. Even half a minute of calm, deliberate motion is enough to begin supporting circulation. When done this way, confidence grows naturally, and the scalp often continues to feel warm or lightly pulsing even after the hands are removed. Those sensations tell us the tissue is beginning to respond. That really reframes everything. It takes the pressure off doing more, and instead puts the focus on how you show up in that moment. It feels less like a routine to get through and more like a conversation with the body. Of course, the scalp does not measure effort by time. It measures quality of signal. When touch is calm and intentional, circulation improves without triggering inflammation or stress responses. That helps explain why so many longer routines end up feeling exhausting instead of supportive. And here's the part many seniors overlook. What happens beneath the skin during those 30 seconds matters more than the movement itself. Circulation shifts, tension softens, and the follicle environment changes almost immediately. That makes me curious about what is actually changing inside the scalp when seniors do this. Yes, and that curiosity is important. Once seniors understand what that brief routine is doing inside the scalp, its simplicity begins to feel comforting rather than insignificant. The body often responds quickly when it finally receives the right kind of signal. And that is where the real story begins. I want to understand that better. What exactly is happening inside the scalp during those 30 seconds that makes such a difference? Well, what I often notice first is a change in temperature and softness. In those 30 seconds, gentle touch widens tiny blood vessels just beneath the scalp, allowing more oxygen and nutrients to reach each follicle. At the same time, the nerves calm, which lowers stress signals that tell hair to let go. The scalp shifts from guarded to receptive. That feels almost like the scalp is being invited rather than pushed. It makes the biology feel personal, not mechanical. Yes, and that personal element matters. When circulation improves, growth signals last a little longer and follicles are less likely to enter shedding too soon. Over time, that repeated message changes how the scalp behaves day after day. Nothing dramatic happens at once, but something important begins to stabilize. That slow stabilization feels reassuring for seniors who worry they missed their chance. Exactly. The body prefers quiet consistency over sudden intervention, especially later in life. And this is where patience becomes part of the medicine. The first changes seniors notice are not always in the mirror, but in how the scalp feels and how shedding softens. Those early signs tell us the process is working. That makes me wonder what seniors usually notice first when they stay consistent for a few weeks. That's a thoughtful question, John, because the first changes are rarely visual. After a few weeks, the shift often shows up in how the morning feels. Seniors tell me the scalp no longer feels guarded or tense, and washing the hair brings less worry. The body begins to expect care instead of strain. And that quiet shift alone starts to change how the whole system behaves. That emotional change feels just as important as anything physical. It sounds like fear loosening its grip before results appear. Yes, and that easing has biological meaning. When the body feels calmer, stress hormones decline and blood flow becomes more reliable. Over time, seniors often notice fewer strands left behind during washing or brushing. Hair feels a bit more secure, even if it looks the same at first. That quiet reassurance seems like it could keep seniors going instead of giving up. Exactly. Early progress does not arrive with fanfare. It shows up quietly in familiar sensations and small shifts in routine rather than in the mirror. And this is what I want listeners to hold on to. Those subtle signs are gentle invitations to keep going, not standards to measure themselves against. They are the body's way of responding to consistency, not perfection. That framing feels relieving. How can seniors hold on to that mindset on days when the routine feels easy to skip or imperfect? Well, let me explain it the way I share it with my own patients. Consistency is not about doing everything every day. It is about returning without punishment when a day is missed. When seniors remove judgment, The routine becomes something the body welcomes instead of resists. That feels kinder than most health advice seniors receive. It turns the routine into a relationship rather than a rule. Yes, and that distinction protects progress. When routines are framed as optional but supportive, seniors are more likely to return naturally. Even a few seconds done imperfectly keeps the signal alive. The key here is that the body responds to repetition, not discipline. That really changes how effort is defined. And here is what I often remind seniors. Missing a day does not undo the work. Stopping altogether does. That is a powerful line for anyone who tends to be hard on themselves. And this leads us forward. Once seniors understand this balance, they can listen more clearly to their bodies. Sometimes the body asks for patience. Other times it asks for guidance beyond routine. That makes me wonder how seniors can tell when they should simply stay the course and when it might be time to seek medical guidance. When changes feel steady but gentle and there is no pain, redness, or sudden loss, staying the course is often the kindest choice. But if shedding becomes rapid, the scalp feels inflamed, or something feels unfamiliar, that is the body asking for professional guidance, not patience. That feels grounding and reassuring, especially for seniors trying to do the right thing without fear. Now, I have a question for everyone listening. If this conversation resonated with you, take a quiet moment tomorrow morning to begin. Please like and share this episode and subscribe to the channel. Oh, and watch this next video right now. Yes, please. We've picked this one especially for you.